Vermont Route 108, as it winds its way through Smuggler's Notch, looks a little bit different than any other state highway. It doesn't have a center line. It's a pretty unique road for state highways in that it isn't maintained during the winter time. The only agency of transportation maintained road that is not maintained over the winter months. It's typically closed from right before the first snowfall in mid-November. They'll sometimes close it a little bit if you have an early season snowfall, but then reopen it until early to mid-May when the snow melts off. Given this lack of winter maintenance, I don't really think this road serves the same function as any other state highway. And it's not like the Notch Road has particularly low traffic. It has a higher AADT, annual average daily traffic, than this state highway, which is a US route no less, though it is in a very rural part of the state. And what's particularly interesting is that AADT for the Notch Road, given that it's only open for half the year, I'm not sure how it's calculated. It might well be really double that on any given day. Certainly, a good number of people use it as part of their commute in the summertime to save them some amount of time getting from one side of the mountain to the other. But I think its primary purpose is, well, as a parkway, as people to come to drive through here and see its beauty. It's a pretty incredible spot. Though the other thing that it's probably most famous for around here is that due to its tight curves and rocks coming right out to the edge of the pavement, each year a couple of tractor trailers end up on this road and ignore all the warning signs and get stuck and have to be towed out. Though last year, after the state put in some chicanes, it's nowhere near as bad. I think they had kind of 2 vehicles get up here that weren't supposed to, and they weren't really stuck like they sometimes can be. And getting back to that lack of center line, while no center line feels really weird for a state highway, it's not that strange for a road. Over half of Vermont roads are gravel, dirt as they're typically called, and those of course can't have a center line. And what about all the municipal roads? Yeah, the class 2s have a painted center line, but most of the class 3 paved roads, unless the town decides to go out and paint it, don't have a center line. So it's actually fairly normal to drive on paved roads without a center line. The road is wide enough to sustain a center line. At this location, and based on some just observation, not measurement, here it's 21 feet wide. And I'd say most of this, it's a decent width. That's wide enough to have a center line in. Down at the lower section, as you're approaching these tight curves, the road, each lane is only 10 feet wide with a minimal shoulder. Typically, state highways will have their lanes 12 feet wide with a couple feet of shoulder, but that's 20 feet wide. Here it's 21. Why don't you have a center line? I mean, this spot, there's only 16 feet between the white lines on what is kind of a blind corner behind this rock. And while, yeah, 2 cars probably could get past each other in this spot, it'd be pretty tight, especially given such a tight corner that you probably aren't hugging the white line. But why don't they just keep the center line where it is wide enough and then sign up that one little particular spot? Well, I think it has to do with how people drive. When I've driven through here, people have kind of swung out into my side of the road with enough distance, not right in front of me, and kind of taken that to take these sharp corners. What I have here isn't the sharpest corner here. And well, yeah, maybe a center line would prevent that and help them to take that that corner a little bit tighter and slow down. There's also a decent chance, I'd say, that they'd still swing out because it's just paint on the asphalt. It's not really anything to stop them from going on to that other side of the road if it's what makes their driving so much easier. Many places you see where the center line on a normal state highway is worn down on a curve because people take that curve a little bit tighter than maybe they should. What I think this lack of center line does is, yeah, maybe it gives some permission to those people that they can do that, which I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but what it tells everyone is that you have to be a little bit more careful. Like, you don't have a center line separating you from the traffic on the other side of the road, so you have to drive more carefully. It's introducing context clues to the drivers to tell them what level of care they should take in driving. Speed limits don't really change how fast most people drive. It's rather the geometry of the road and the features around it. You don't have like a clear lane that you can drive as fast as you want without having to worry about the traffic on the other side. Those people can potentially come towards you, and you have to be kind of aware of that and ready to stop if you need to, because, well, you're going through a parkway.